In today's video, I'm going to cover 5 ways you can go and dominate your listing presentation game starting today. All right, so here's the thing, guys. I'm going to cover some 5 essential key steps that you need to follow in order to set yourself apart from your competition when it comes to listing properties. The first thing that I want you to do is I want you to take the time to do a thorough pre-qualification with all listings. Now, what I mean by this, though, is not an interrogation. It's asking really good quality questions that will evoke answers that will help you understand exactly the motivations behind your sellers. As an example, what are the reasons why you're considering exploring selling your home, Mr. Seller? Right? Great open-ended question that invites them to open up. What is it about your current home right now that's no longer working for you that has you exploring the idea of a move? If you were to sell the home, where did you plan on moving to next? Mr. Seller, what types of experiences have you had in the past working with other agents? Mr. Seller, can I ask, what was it about me that stood out to you that prompted you to reach out to me today? Those are some examples of good quality open-ended questions that you can use. In the video link below, I will post our pre-qualification script that you can use before meeting with your clients. Now, it's very important in this first step that you make sure that all decision makers are present when you do the evaluation. Now, for some of you, you may want to consider doing a 2-part market evaluation, similar to how an appraiser does a home evaluation. I mean, realistically, how can you walk into a home and then immediately provide an accurate valuation if you've never seen the home before? Now, I realize some of you listening to this video may be in markets where homes are very easy to evaluate because they're very similar. They're quite cookie cutter. But in markets like the one that I'm in, it's very difficult sometimes to know what the upgrades are. It may be a very unique property that doesn't have any direct comparables, so you need to spend a little bit more time. I always set the expectations with the sellers up front to make sure that they understand that it's going to be a 2-part evaluation. Okay, so step 1, do a thorough pre-qualification. Step 2, prior to meeting the sellers, I want you to have a listing package already available. We call it our listing guide. This is going to document all the steps that you take to sell homes for more money. The point of this is that you should not be selling yourself or doing any presenting when you get to the house. You actually want to get there and already have them further along in the process. Part of the step 2 process as well is I want you to have a very professional video produced that shows them exactly what it is that you do differently than your competition. Again, I will post some links below so that you guys can see what it is that we do prior to entering a client's home. What this does is it will stand you out from all your other competitors, because most people will have a quick phone conversation, show up at the home cold, and then try to put on a presentation. What you're going to do is you're going to slow the process down and you're going to ask really good thought-provoking questions. You're going to ensure that clients feel comfortable with exactly what it is that you do. They're going to be impressed with how thorough you are with the information you provide. The third step is when you arrive at the home, I want you to take the time to greet the clients and have them tour you around the home. While they're doing that, get permission to take notes and actually do take thorough notes. Complement some of the details of the home. Ask thought-provoking questions. Can I ask you, Mr. Seller, what are the things that you've enjoyed the most about living in this particular home? If you were a new buyer, what are some of the things that you like most about the area itself? Ask good thought-provoking questions that show the client that you're paying attention to details. If you notice a feature that you really like, point it out. Discuss it with the sellers, because there's a likelihood that they take a lot of pride in their home and what they've presented. And remember, they're letting you into their sacred place, so it's important that you treat it with the utmost respect. The other thing that you need to do in this third part is take the time to have them walk you outside the home. So walk the property, get to see what the neighborhood's like. Take a look at some of the landscaping that they've done. Really take the time again to show them that you're really getting to know the asset that you'll potentially be selling. Ask good thought-provoking questions like, when was the roof last done? How about your furnace? When was the last time that was looked at? Right? What are some of the average heating bills that you guys experience on a monthly basis? Right? Ask good questions. Once you've done that, sit down at the table with the sellers. This is now your opportunity to isolate the one individual who's also a decision maker who you have not had the opportunity to talk to, right? Because usually you'll have booked the appointment with one decision maker. So the second person is the person that you need to build that same level of rapport and trust with. So go back and do that pre-qualification question with the other individual. So here's an example of what that might sound like. So, Mr. Seller, I had the pleasure of obviously speaking to Jane, your wife, on the phone, and she kind of shared with me some of the reasons why she's considering selling. I haven't had the pleasure of asking you the same questions, and I'd really love to hear your perspective. Let the client start opening up, and your goal here is to get the who, the what, the where, the when, the why, hobbies, occupations, and really get a thorough understanding of exactly what it is that your clients are looking to achieve. Now, I would suggest doing your market evaluations in 2 parts. So this is where at the end of the meeting, once I feel like I've built really good rapport and trust, I would let the sellers know I'm going to take all the information that I've gathered here today, and I'm going to spend a few hours putting together a very comprehensive, thorough market evaluation for you both. What is a good time for you tomorrow that could work where all 3 of us could be here together? Book it for the next day if you can. If you need to schedule it out 2 days further, that's fine, but always book your next appointment right there and then on the spot, okay? This is very, very critical. Ensure that all decision makers will be present. Step 4, this is your second part, market evaluation. This is when you come back with the clients. What I want you to focus on when you're back is I want you to take the time to educate both of the sellers in this case, or whoever the decision makers are, on exactly what their home is worth by taking the time to educate them on sold comparables. Look for properties that are similar that have sold. Similar square footage, similar features, similar square footage and property size. Take the time to show them active competition. So, Mr. Seller, if we were hitting the market today, here's some of the properties that we would be directly competing with. Very, very important that they are as educated as you are on at least what the comparables are saying. From there, I would pick a range that's usually between $10,000 and $20,000 that I would say, based on the information that I've researched and that I've looked at, and I'm sure you guys can feel the same way, here's where I feel the market range is for your home. Now, at the end of the day, it's very important that you hire someone like myself, for example, who's going to have a strategic plan to ensure that you get on the very high end of the range of your home. And there's some very specific things that we do that are very different than our competitors. So the final step in the process that I want you guys to focus on is reverse engineering the sale. This is where you talk about your strategy, right? So this is where we discuss the importance of staging the home, having the home clean and decluttered, right? Making sure that all the buyers that walk through the home have a very good sense of what it would like to live in the home and that we're showing the asset in the best light possible. This is where I would also discuss the value of doing a pre-inspection on the home. Have some real life examples and stories of homes where you've had pre-inspections done and how that's benefited the seller, right? For example, if we have a pre-inspection and we uncover some issues, well, what we can do is we can find the most cost-effective solutions on how to mitigate those prior to hitting the market. And then what we can do is, as opposed to those being roadblocks that can come up later on in the process, we can ensure that we have a plan to overcome that, to give buyers confidence in the home that they're buying. It's similar to if you were buying a used vehicle. If you had the option between 2 identical vehicles, but one of them had an independent third-party inspection that had 300 points covered that really showed that the vehicle was very sound and you had a really good sense of what it was you were buying, you would have a higher perception of its value, right? That makes sense. Discuss that with your sellers. Make sure that they understand that. The other thing that's really important is I want you to cover with your sellers showing times and strategy. I personally don't believe in listing a property on a Monday, a Friday, a Saturday, or a Sunday. I always explain to my sellers, the reason I like to list properties on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays is because I feel that is when people are most active at viewing homes online. This is where people are starting to make their plans for the weekend. So the objective is, let's hit the market and let's make sure that we have 2 days prior to letting anybody through the doors in your home. What this will do is it will allow for our marketing to effectively hit the key channels. It'll give buyers the opportunity to reach out to their realtors to schedule an appointment. It'll give us the opportunity to reach out to any inquiries so that we can turn over every stone. The point here is we want to stack up the showings as much as possible on that very first day so that we can look you in the eye and say, listen, we have ensured that we're getting as much traction and action on your property. the last thing you want to do, guys, is have your sellers have a buyer walk through the door very first day, not get enough attention, and then all of a sudden that turns a potential offer into a sales resistance from your sellers. Think about it, if you're a seller and your agent gets somebody through the door on day one without getting anybody else through the home, and you receive an offer, is it likely that you're going to think you maybe underpriced the home? Is it possible that you may think that, you know what, maybe we should wait? Even though this could be a very, very good offer, your perception may become that this is happening too fast. So it's very important as an agent for you to have a plan and a strategy. This is why I like ensuring you have at least 2 days prior to allowing anybody through the doors. The other thing that's important is discuss showing times that work well for your clients. Perhaps they're shift workers. Maybe they have kids with bedtimes and dinner times. Ensure that the showing schedule will work for your clients and will not burn them out. See, a lot of sellers end up getting frustrated and taking their homes off the market, not because they don't want to sell, but because their agents didn't have a really good plan and they burnt the client out. So always ensure you have a showing plan and make sure you communicate to your sellers. Look, what I expect is I think it's reasonable for us to ask for 24 hours notice prior to all showings. That gives you time to have your home prepared. You're not rushing, and then we can present your home in the best light possible. So these are 5 tips that'll help you become a better listing agent that allow you to build more trust and rapport. If you'll notice, we're spending very little time being presenters, and we're spending more time connecting with the clients and delivering a plan and a strategy to get them results. I hope this is helpful. Take a look below. There's some resources and links, and we're always happy to help.
Thank you so much for watching. If you really found this valuable, smash the like button below, subscribe to our YouTube page, and then look for more amazing content.